నువ్వు లేకనిలే
నేనేం చేసిన
ఫస్ట్ నీకని లే అంతే
ఓవర్ యాక్షన్ చేసింది.
Shada is here. Shada will assist you. Please you unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
And share the screen.
There was some problem with my system. Yes. Now is it okay, sir?
Yeah, it is okay.
Good evening to one and all, respected Debulo Dr. Rai sir and other students. Today our topic is focus groups. Myself, Dr. G. Madhukar, working as a Assistant Professor, Department of Education, University College of Education, Usmania University, Hyderabad, Telangana State. In this today's topic, I would like to cover different things. That is introduction, features of focus groups, types of focus groups, group process, stages of focus group, conducting the discussion using the group process, some further strategies, group composition and size, practicalities in organizing the group, conclusion. Am I clear? Yes? Hello?
Yes, it is clear. Clear.
So first, introduction. The use of focus group in social science research increased considerably over the last 2 decades of the 20th century. It was originated among social scientists working in applied and academic research settings. Focus group developed as a research technique most strongly in market research, where, just a minute. Sorry.
In market research.
In market research technique, most strongly where they have been used extensively or exploring issues such as brand images, packing and product choices. During this market research, we will always search for brand, for clothes, for electronic goods. We always look for brand. If brand is there, we will buy that product and use it. So in this focus groups, some key features of focus groups are the group context of focus group creates process which is in some important respects very different from an in-depth interview. data generated by interaction between group participants. In a focus group, there is 5 to 10 people per group. Sometimes 6 to 8 group people are preferred. So they are in similar types of people. That is homogeneous group, most probably. So sometimes repeated groups also. So participants present their own views and experiences, but they also hear from other people. So in a focus group, we'll divide them into 5 to 10 people or 6 to 8 people. They got motivated by listening to others. Okay, sometimes they will reveal their personal things in a focus group by motivating, stimulating by other persons. So participants present their own views and experiences, but they also hear from other people. A focus group is therefore not a collection of individual interviews with comments directed solely through the researcher. This is better described as group interview. Why it is a group interview? We are not taking single person's view. We are taking group persons interview at the same time. That is 5 to 10 people or 6 to 8 people. So that is called as a group interview, and it lacks both the depth of individual interviews and richness that comes with using the group process. So in the group process, somebody will revealing his own views. It will stimulate other persons. So somebody shared his personal view more than required, then he also got the motivated and stimulated by other person. So everybody will share their own views in the group interview, the focus group. So a further feature of focus group is spontaneity that arises from their stronger social context. So we are taking homogeneous groups in the focus group. So they will understand the social context. They will share their responses spontaneously. In responding to each other, participants reveal more of their own frame of reference on the subject of study. Sometimes they reveal more than the researcher wants because of stimulation, because of motivation by group members, other group members, co-participants. So participants reveal more of their own frame of reference on the subject of study. So the focus group presents a more natural environment than that of the individual interview, because we are taking group views in a focus group. We are taking group views in a natural environment. So participants are influencing and influenced by others just as they are in real life, because they are sitting in a group 5 to 10 or 6 to 8 people. They got influenced by other persons. As they will think that it is a real life situation, real life context. So focus group are naturalistic rather than natural events, and cannot and should not be left to chance and circumstances. Their naturalism has to be carefully contributed by the researcher. So types of focus groups. So these focus groups involve around 6 to 8 people who meet once for a period of around an hour or half to 2 hours. For sometimes half an hour, 1 hour, more, then maximum 2 hours. This format can be used for a wide range of population groups and research objectives. So our focus groups discussion time will be minimum half an hour to 2 hours duration. So this format can be used for a wide range of population groups and research objectives. So focus groups generally meet just once. Reconvened groups can be valuable when studies address issues that are intangible or unfamiliar to respondents. So the group is reconvened perhaps a week or two after it first meets. So the time frame will be half an hour to 2 hours. So sometimes the focus group meets at one time. Sometimes research will reconvene. Groups can be valuable and studies address issues that are intangible or unfamiliar to respondents. Sometimes they have some doubts. So the researcher will have to reconvey the group discussions. Furthermore, he will clarify the doubts. Sometimes he will clarify unfamiliar to the respondents. The group is reconvened perhaps a week or two after it first meets. Sometimes it research will take time for 1 week or 2 weeks in a focus group discussion. So some group discussions settings may take the form of workshop. Sometimes we may organize some workshop pertaining to particular goal, particular research area. So within the workshop, everyone will contribute their views. So we will take all the members' opinion, their view. We will conclude. We will frame some objectives. We'll frame some policy brief. So implying a larger group meeting for a longer session with a more structured agenda involving specific tasks or activities, perhaps with small group work as well as the group coming together as a whole. So sometimes the workshops results may imply to a larger group. So sometimes it will take longer session. Sometimes with a more structured agenda involving specific tasks or activities, perhaps with small group work as well as the group coming together as a whole. For example, citizens juries bring together groups of between 12 to 20 people who over the course of several days hear from witness, deliberate and make recommendations about course of action. Sometimes some citizens will bring together, that is a group of 12 to 20 people. So they will take some course of several days. Then sometimes they hear from the witness, deliberate and make recommendations about course of action. So sitting 12 to 20 people discussing some agenda, some topic. So they will come to a conclusion. They will give some recommendations about the course of action, what should be taken. So an interesting application of focus group research methods to decision making, particularly useful in more unfamiliar, technical or complex areas where information provision is important. So group-based research usually involves a physical coming together of participant. This is not always the case. So nominal groups have been used for some time. Sometimes we may take their views through online also. That is called online FGD, focus group discussion. So usually before pandemic, we'll have physical focus group discussions. So during online, during this pandemic situation, many researchers uses this online FGDs, online focus group discussions. So group-based research usually involves a physical coming together of participant. this is not always the case. So nominal groups have been used for some time. So a panel of experts is asked individually to provide forecast in a technical field with their views summarized and circulated for iterative forecasting until consensus is reached. So, panel of experts will be there for workshops, seminars, for this focus discussion also. So, this panel of experts is asked individually to provide forecast in a technical fields with their views summarized and circulated for iterative forecasting until consensus is reached. So advances in technology are also leading to growing interest in virtual groups. So during a pandemic, so everybody sitting in a home, teachers and students learn many things through virtual mode, virtual groups, where again participants do not physically meet. Teleconferencing technology allows telephone groups to be conducted particularly with less mobile or particularly time present populations. So in nominal groups, the role of researcher will be quite different from their moderation of a live group. So in this focus group discussion, there are different stages of groups. So the group process, an understanding of group process and models of small group behavior is helpful to offer insight into what can happen in focus group and why. So an understanding of focus group process and models of small group behavior is helpful to offer insight into what can happen in focus group and why. So after examination of studies of small groups identified 5 stages in small group development which demonstrate a sequence that groups tend to pass through. Those were forming stage, storming stage, norming stage, performing stage, adjourning stage. What is forming stage? Anybody? Anybody any idea about forming stage?
Forming means when the some people are coming together to meet the common goal or objective. That is forming
Yes,
stage.
forming stage. So what do you mean by storming stage? Second one.
Storming is when the group people are interacts with gets interacted with each other, and basically this is a ice breaking session between them.
Yes,
When they
that
feel free to talk to each other.
that includes brainstorming session. Okay, researcher will put some idea, give some topic, they will discuss among themselves. That is storming stage. Then what do you mean by norming stage? Third one.
Norming
There
means
will,
when they get settled to meet the objectives and group norms like rules, regulation, what they are supposed to do during the
yes,
discussion. That is norming
yes,
stage.
very good. Then performing stage. Performing.
Performing stage is when they are providing the actual data. They are expressing themselves in terms of different questions or like that. They are expressing
So,
themselves. That is
yes,
performing.
yes. After 3 stages, they will come to an expressive stage. Expression. Okay, they will give their expressions. They will give their ideas. They will give their
Expression may be
recommendations.
verbal, non-verbal, even body languages. Each and everything should be included in this stage.
What will be last stage? Adjourning stage.
Adjourning stage is the kind of wrap-up session when they have provided the much information and they have been sensitized about the objectives.
Very
There is
good.
nothing much left to provide, that is adjourning.
Yes. So in this, there will be individual introduction. So first, researcher will introduce himself, not too much. Then afterwards, everybody in a group, there are 5 to 8 or 10 members, they will introduce themselves. That is introduction part. Then second one is opening topic. So researcher will give the topic to the group. So they will focus on the group specifically. They will give their opinion. Okay. Then next one, discussion. So they will discuss thoroughly about the particular specific topic at length and breadth. Then next one is ending discussion. So after the 3 stages, they will come to a conclusion of their discussion about the specific topic or specific data. They will give ending to that particular this thing. Then so conducting discussion. So this discussion may be specifically goal oriented, goal directed, specific to the objectives, specific to the hypothesis of the particular research area in social sciences. Then some characteristics of focus group. There are 4 characteristics of focus groups. That is participants, environment, moderator, analysis and reporting. So first character is participants. So participants are carefully recruited by the researcher in a social science. Researchers are social scientists. So usually 5 to 10 people per group or 6 to 8 preferred in a participants. Then there are similar types of people, that is homogeneous group. Sometimes you may take heterogeneous group also, but most probably this focus group discussion will be homogeneous group. So there are similar types of people. Then repeated groups. So one group will be coming repeatedly to discuss particular thing. That is a first characteristic of focus group. Second one is environment. This environment, researcher has to create comfortable, then seating arrangement. There will be circle seating so that everybody will have eye contact. They will know each other very well. They will have eye contact. Then they will discuss. They will give their inputs in a fruitful manner. Then circle seating. Then sometimes researcher may use tape recorder or smartphone to record their views, to record their performances. Then third one is moderator. So this moderator means social scientist or researcher. He is a skillful in a group discussions. So he has to give the topic. He has to allow the each individual in a group to open up, to reveal their opinion in a particular topic. Then uses predetermined questions. So he has to frame some structured questions, 1 to 5 questions or 7 to 8 questions. So he has to ask question each and everybody in a group. Then establishes permissive environment. So you have to control some disturbances and intervening variables while doing focus group discussions in a particular point of period. Then fourth one is analysis and reporting. So after the first, second, third, then he has to gather the information. He has to do analysis and reporting. In this one, systematic analysis based on your topic, based on your objectives, based on your hypothesis, based on your subject specific. You have to frame systematic analysis. You have to do systematic analysis. So every analysis based on your objectives and hypothesis. So for every topic, you may not use same ANOVA or other things, other tests, T test, F test, or so on and so forth. So based on your objectives, hypothesis, and your topic, you have to use systematic analysis. Then verifiable procedures. So for every research, there is a systematic procedure from identify the problems to writing report, conclusions. Then suggestion for further research also. So you have to use some systematic procedures in a focus group discussion. Then appropriate reporting. You have to report one by step. Appropriate reporting. So these are the 4 characteristics of focus group interviews. Then there are some moderator skills. That is, researcher must have some skills to do focus group. That is, select the right moderator, use an assistant moderator, be mentally prepared, use purposeful small talk, make smooth and snappy introduction, use pauses and probes, record the discussion, control reactions to participants, use suitable group control, use appropriate conclusion. So first one is select the right moderator. So you have to exercise mild control, adequate knowledge of topic, appears like the participants. So here moderator also mingle with the participants. That is, select the right moderator. Then only they will reveal their inputs. They will give correct data. Second, use an assistant moderator if required. Sometimes you may have a large population. You have to conduct a focus group in a large scale. Then you have to take assistant. You can appoint assistant moderator as well. Handles logistics, takes careful notes, the monitors recording equipments. So while this main moderator will probe some questions, then other second, that is assistant moderator will keep recording. Where you can record through writing, or you can record. You can use tape recorder or smartphone to record their inputs. Then be mentally prepared. So as a moderator, if each and every time you have to alert and free from distractions. So there are many distractions for any individual, because after all we are human beings. So there are n number of distractions will be there while doing research. So this moderator must not have any distractions while doing his research. As the discipline of listening, you have to have good listening skill. Observe the participants for seating arrangements. So you have to keep the circle seating arrangements. So you have to observe each and every participant in a focus group discussion. Then use purposeful small talk. So this moderate will have to use some stimulus. So you have to use purposeful talk, create warm and friendly environment among the group. Then only they will reveal their things. Observe the participants for seating arrangement. So you have to observe all the participants and you have to do good seating arrangement. That is circle shape. Then make a smooth and snappy introduction. So standard introduction, you have to give standard introduction, that is welcome, overview of topic, then group rules. What are the rules of the group? Then first question. So you have to give first question. You have to supply first question to the all members. Then use pauses and probes. So sometimes you have to use some pauses, stress and intonations. So 5 seconds pause. You have to probes like would you explain further? Would you give an example for that? I don't understand. So you have to probe like this. That is, would you explain further? Would you give an example for that? I don't understand. So you have to use some probes. This stimulates the other participant to reveal their opinion about the particular topic. Then record the discussion. So you can use tape records. Sometimes you can write the notes. Then you can use smartphones to record their views. Then control reactions to participants. So sometimes you have to use verbal and sometimes non-verbal cues. Then sometimes head nodding. So gestures, body language. Then short verbal responses sometimes. So next one is use suitable group control. So as a moderator, you have to use some expert skills. So sometimes you have to control dominant talkers in a group. So in a 10 groups, somebody will dominate all the way, all the time. So you have to control that particular person. Then sometimes shy participant will be there. Because of shyness, he may not open up in a focus group. You have to encourage the shy participant. You have to control the dominant talkers in a focus group. Then use appropriate conclusion. So you have to conclude their views at the end of the discussion. That is 3 steps conclusion. That is summarize with confirmation, review purpose and ask if anything has been missed. So you have to ask the group that anything is missing. Likewise, then thanks and dismissal. So after this thing is
Dr. Gampala, you are not changing the slide.
so some problem is there, sir.
Okay,
So I'm
okay.
extempo. I'm talking with the extempo.
Okay.
So there are some steps in focus group studies. That is decide whether focus groups are appropriate, decide who to involve, listen to your target audience, put your thoughts in writing. So these are the different steps. That is decide whether focus groups are appropriate. So while doing social science research, you have to decide yourself whether focus groups are appropriate for your study. So you have to decide first, then decide who to involve. So what are the homogeneity of the group? For example, school teachers, college teachers, or adolescent students. Okay, so you have to decide who to involve in your focus group discussion. Listen to your target audience. You must be a good listener while doing focus group discussion. Then put your thoughts in writing. So before going to focus group, you have to prepare some questions in structured manner. Then some bulleted outlines, that is you have to welcome, introduce moderator and assistant moderator. Then you have to reveal your topic which will be used for the discussion. You have to give them you were selected because you are some characteristics for then only you are selected for this group discussion. This is focus group discussion. Then you have to give guidelines. So there are no right or wrong answers, only differing points of view. Okay. So there are no right and wrong answers. There are different.
Hello, you are not audible. Hello, Madhukar, you are not audible. Okay. So, dear students, any idea about the focus group now? For 2 days, you are learning focus group. Shumana has told very nicely. Do you think that is you have some research question that can be elicited through the focus group?
Sir, from these discussions, I have to know that and I have a questions to you. May I do this interview 2 or 3 sessions or more than that, or 1 session only, sir?
Yeah, it depends upon that is what is your objective basically. Okay. For example, Rina has pointed out very good question. Where is Rina? Yes, Rina. Rina raised this question, that is acceptance of nursing profession. Okay. It varies over time. Right, Rina?
Yes, sir.
So naturally, you have to do the cross-sectional study
Yes.
or longitudinal study. Okay.
Yes.
That means you can discuss this issue with the newly joined students in nursing, and some senior nurses also. So then you can make the focus group.
Yes, sir.
You may follow the cross-sectional or the longitudinal, but longitudinal may not be possible for you.
Yes.
So cross-sectional is better.
Okay, sir.
But do you have idea that is why focus group is important nowadays? It is growing, very much growing. Why focus group is important?
No, sir. Details. No. I do not have any detailed knowledge, sir.
Yeah, Madhukar is joining now. Hello, Madhukar.
Sir. See, there was a problem with my place, the power cut.
Okay, so please continue.
Okay, so you have to give guidelines for the audience. So there are no right and wrong answers, only differing points of view. So differences of opinion in a focus group discussion. So you have to clearly mention that is recording their views by using tape record or smartphone. Then he has to use some skill, that is first letter of the name in with a 10 people. Somebody name start with A, somebody name start with B, C, likewise. He has to use sequence order while probing questions one by one. Then he has to give open questions. Then how to begin the focus group discussion. So this focus group discussion is very critical in terms of specific topic in a social science research. So as a moderator, he must create thoughtful, permissive atmosphere for the focus group. Provide group rules or ground rules and set the tone of the discussion. So you have to stimulate the discussion in a focus group. That is a beginning the focus group discussion. So success of focus group interview can be attributed to the development of open environment. So that is welcome by the moderator, overview of the topic, then ground rules, then first question. So introduction by the moderator. So sometimes good evening or good morning and welcome to our session. Likewise, you have to start the discussion in a group. Then after last, thanks for taking time to join us to talk about education programs in a state or in a country. Likewise, you have to end the session in a focus group discussion. Then he has to give the importance why they are invited for the, why they are selected for the focus group discussion. That is, so you are invited because you have participated in some extension programs, some workshops, some training programs, some seminars, some conferences. That's why you are here today. So likewise, you have to give the importance, the purpose of focus group discussion. So because of their previous experience, because of workshop experience, seminar experience, or conference experience, they are familiar with the extension work. So because of that past experience, they were selected for the focus group discussion. So sometimes they will be selected by the mandal level, district level, state level, sometimes country level also for the focus group based on the topic. Then he has to reveal that there are no right and wrong answers. So it is opinion of the particular person. So in psychology we have individual differences. So no individual is alike. Their thinking, intelligence, creativity, problem solving capacity, then their views about particular topic, particular thing. So there are no right and wrong answers in focus groups. So everybody opinion will consider in a data collection. So he has to give freedom to share their views without hesitation, without any hindrance. So there are no negative and positive answers. Like, so everybody's opinion is equally important for the data collection in a focus group. So this is about beginning of the focus group discussion. Then recorder, that is assistant moderator skills. He has to possess some skills, that is help with equipment and refreshments. So as assistant moderator, he has to help with equipment, that is tape recorder or smartphone, then replacement, then seating arrangements to the group, whole group. Then arrange the room, well ventilated room. Then welcome participants as they arrive. So while they are arriving, he has to welcome the participant, all the participants, warm welcome. Then sit in designated location. Okay, in a round shape. This chairs will be arranged in a round shape. Then he has to invite each and every participant with respect. Then take note throughout the discussion. So you have to note down everybody's opinion. Either tape recorder or you have to record everybody's opinion. Then operate recording equipment. Then tape recorder, then you have to operate their that equipment. Then do not participate in the discussion. So as a assistant moderator, you do not participate in discussion. You have to keep always recording. You have to look for the neat and tidy environment. Then ask questions when invited. So if moderator is there, then moderator allows, then he can ask some questions. Give an oral summary. Sometimes he has to give some oral summary. Then give feedback on analysis and reports. So as a assistant moderator, he has to give feedback on the analysis and reports of the group. Then in a focus group discussion, asking questions that yield powerful information. So based on your questions only, they will give information, their views. They will reveal their inner opinion accurately. So you have to use open-ended questions. What are the open-ended questions? Anybody? We have different questions, that is close-ended, open-ended questions. What is the difference between these two questions? Yes? Participant, please respond. What do you mean by open-ended questions? Yes?
From unstructured question.
What do you mean by closed-ended questions? Yes. Open means unstructured question. Okay. Closed-ended means structured. So answer will be there. You have to have answer. So closed-ended questions means open questions. There is no structured answer. Everybody is feel.
Sir, open-ended question, maybe give your opinion regarding the your experience, like the Ratha Jatra, or the any experience regarding a fair, book fair, like this.
Yes. So what I'm trying to put to the airport is, so open question means they will feel free to answer. Okay. Everybody
There
will
will not
have,
be any options. Actually, in open-ended questionnaire, there will not be options, so that participant can freely answer and
yes,
express
yes,
themselves.
yes, yes. If you are putting closed-ended question means there are structured answers. So sometimes they may feel that I may not wrong, I may be wrong. So they won't open up. So in FGDs, you always use open questions. What did you think of the program, of this research? Then how did you feel about the conference or workshop, where do you get new information? What do you like best about the proposed program? That is workshop, seminar, conference, or this focus group discussion. So these are the open-ended questions. Example of the open-ended questions. You can ask open-ended questions in FGDs, then they will reveal their answers freely without hesitation. Then you must not use why questions. Why? It gives negative impact on the participants. Use
And
think
why
back
also
question.
looks like judgmental. Am I right, sir?
Yes.
Why
Why
questions are
means
judgmental and they will be
judgment.
restricted to answer freely.
Sometimes, but most of the time, it gives negative impact. Then use think back questions. What do I think back questions? So they will share their experiences, previous experience. That is think back questions. So out of your experience, out of 5 years or 10 years experience, what do you feel about this? What do you feel about this workshop, seminar, or conference? So they will come up, they will open up their answer. Then use different types of questions. That you have to use 5 types of questions. That is opening questions, introductory questions, transition questions, key questions, and ending questions. Then always use questions that get participants involved. So each and every participant, you have to use that sort of questions. Then focus the questions. There must be some sequence order, step by step. Then be cautious of some question, that is save for the end of the discussion. So you have to save the time for the end of the discussion. Then ending questions. You have to summarize the questions in a sequential order. Opening question, mid questions, and ending questions. You have to use different questions. So in ending questions, you have to ask them examples. Then summary questions. So after brief summary, you can ask the questions again. Is this an adequate summary? So they will open up that not this. They will add something. So then you are going to ask final question. That is, uh, have missed anything? Still anything is there? Anything you want to say? Anything you want to add? So they will open up. So this will be your final question. Then some strategies for focus group questions. That is, you have to choose among alternatives. You have to make a list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Likewise, sometimes you can give the fill in the blank questions. Then sometimes you can use projection, fantasy, and daydream questions also. Sometimes you can ask them draw a picture, then develop a campaign. Then sometimes you can ask them role playing. Then questions that foster ownership. What can you do? This is the situation. What can you do? This is the context. What will be your response? Then generic questions. You can give examples for generic question. That is, how you have involved in this program. Okay. How when you do, when do you see these things? Then next thing is note taking. What do you mean note taking? Note taking We have note taking, note making. What is the difference between note taking, note making? Yes, students. What is the difference between note taking, note making?
Note taking is while the participants are providing their opinions or expressions, just write down that as they are expressing, like in verbatim, along with that
Yes.
non-verbal cues like head nodding, expressions, that is silence, that also have to be noted. And note making is from the researcher's end. After
Yes,
the
yes.
whole conversation or after the whole session, he or she, like the researcher, will note down the summary. That is note making.
So note taking will be done by the assistant moderator. So
Exactly.
each and everybody's opinion is going to write down systematic manner. X, Y, Z, person X opinion, person Y opinion, person Z opinion on these topics 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that. That is note taking. Then clarity and consistency of note taking. So he has to, while note taking, he has to have some clarity and consistency. Then sometimes you have to use some quotes. Sometimes you have to use some key points, themes for each question. Then sometimes follow-up questions that could be asked, similar questions. What is your name? Where, what is your background? Likewise, you have to use some questions, that is follow-up questions, one by one. Then uh, systematic analysis process. Then how do you analyze this whole focus group discussion? That is, there are 5 steps in systematic analysis process. That is, start while still in the group, then immediately after the focus group, then soon after the focus group, within hours analyze individual focus group, then then soon after the focus group, within the hours analyze the individual focus group, then later within the days analyze the series of focus groups, finally prepare the report. These are the 5 systematic analysis process. First one is start while still in the group. So you have to listen for inconsistent comments and probe for understanding. So you are still in the group, you are going to record their responses. So consider asking each participant a final preference question. That is start while still in the group. Next one is immediately after the focus group. So draw a diagram of seating arrangement, that is circle manner, 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. You have to draw a seating arrangements. Then spot check tape recording to ensure proper operation. So while recording, you have to check beforehand whether it is working or not. Then label and file field notes, tapes and other materials. You have to get ready with all this material. Then soon after the focus group, within hours analyze individual focus group. Then after focus group, so make a backup copy of tape record and send the tape transmission for the computer entry if transcript is wanted. So after recording, you can send the tape recorder for the analysis. Then
Sir, please repeat,
later
sir.
with
Sir, please repeat.
so
It is
okay.
not clear to me.
So soon after the focus group, within hours analyze individual focus group. It means, so after focus group over, then make back copy of the tape recorder. You can send the tape recorder to the experts. So they will and they will give you what is there in a tape recorder, what is the recorded audios or recorded videos. So based on their recorded audios, you can analyze their opinion. They can use for your data collection. Okay. Later, within this, analyze the series of focus groups, that is, compare and contrast results by categories of individual focus groups. Look for emerging themes by question and then overall. Then describe findings and use codes to illustrate. So after 3 steps, this is the last step. This is the fourth step. That is, you can describe the findings and use codes to illustrate. So after the 3 steps, you are going to describe the findings of your study and use codes to illustrate. You can write the illustrations with examples. Then finally, prepare a report. So this is the final step in a systematic analysis process. That is, consider narrative style versus bulleted style. So you can narrate the story, you can write bullet points. Then use a few quotes to illustrate. Then revise and finalize report. So you can revise and finalize while recording step by step. Sometimes you may miss something, so you have to rewrite. So after 1 or 2 revisions, you can write final report. Then focus group analysis tips. There are some tips in focus group. That is, when analyzing focus group data, you can consider some tips. That is, words, context, internal consistency, frequency or extensiveness, intensity, specificity, findings, big ideas. First one, words. So while analyzing focus group data, you have to consider words. What are the words you are using in a focus group discussion? You can use stimulus questions, stimulus variation. You have to stimulate the discussion. So here, words, you can use actual words used by the participants and meanings of those words. Okay, you have to use only actual words, those were using by the participants. Then sometimes variety of words and phrases will be used, and the analysis will be need to determine the degree of similarity between these responses. So basically, you have to use the words used by the participants. Sometimes you can use variety of words, but you can compare both of them. That is words. Next one is context. You have to trigger the stimulus by probing questions. You have to create a context. You have to ask the questions. Then you have to expect the comments, responses from the audience, response from the participants. You have to create context. Then the response is interpreted in light of the preceding discussions and also by the tone and intensity of the oral comment. So what they are, whether they are using high tone or high pitch or low pitch. So then tone and intensity of the response, tone and intensity of the oral comment. So that is context. So as a moderator, you have to give the stimulus and you have to use different questions. Then you have to, while analyzing, you have to use, you have to see that the tone and intensity of the oral comment by the participants. Next one is internal consistency. So in a participants focus groups, change and sometimes even reverse their position after the interaction with others. Sometimes some participant will overreact, some maybe have dominant personality, some may be having shyness. So at the end of the discussion, you need to stimulate each and every person in a focus group discussion. That is your internal consistency. Then frequency or extensiveness. some topics are discussed more by participants, extensiveness. So some participant will take a lead to discuss furthermore extensively because they are having previous experience, they are having idea in the particular specific area. So they can do discussion extensively. And also some comments are made more often than others. So some dominant person will be comment more often. So these topics could be more important or specific interest to participants. So that is frequency. So frequency or extension means, so they are similar with those topics, they may use high frequency. Sometimes they are familiar with the same subject, they will discuss extensively. So that is frequency or extensiveness. Then intensity. So occasionally participants talk about a topic with a special intensity or depth of feeling, about their strength of feeling. So intensity may be difficult to spot with the transcript alone because intensity is also communicated by the voice tone, speed, and emphasis on certain words. So based on their voice tone, based on their speed, and based on their emphasis on certain words. So again here there are individual differences. Individuals will differ on how they display strength of feeling and with others when compared to others. That is intensity. Then specificity. Responses that are specific and based on the experiences should be given more weight than the responses that are vague and impersonal. So responses based on the experience should be given more weight than the responses that are vague, that are not related to our topic. So you have to cut short. That is specificity. Then finding big ideas. This is the last tip. That is one of the tapes of analysis. So sorry, one of the drafts of analysis is not seeing by the big ideas. Step back from the discussions by allowing an extra day for the big ideas. For example, after finishing the analysis, the researcher might set the report aside for a brief period. He will keep the report aside for the 1 week or 2 weeks, and then jot down the 3 or 4 of the most important findings. So after 1 week or 5 days, he will sit and he will jot down the important findings out of the focus group discussion. This will be findings, big ideas. Then systematic notification procedure, that is there are different things, that is in systematic notification procedure, set meetings time for a group interviews. You have to have some specific time for the group interviews. Then contact potential participant by phone or in a person. You can contact over a phone or you can meet them in a personal. You have to invite them to participate in a focus group discussion. Send a written personal invitation. Sometimes you can send the letter, personal letters. Then you have to contact each and every person before our focus group discussion. This is systematic notification procedure. Then selection strategies. So you have to prepare the list. Then you have to prepare the list based on the location, nominations. Then sometimes you can use snowball sample. What is snowball sample? Anybody having any idea about snowball samples? Snowball samples. Yes? Snowball samples. Students. Anybody? Then random telephone screening. You can pick up random. What is the random technique? Based on the list. You are becoming every 10th person or every 10th person in a list. Then screening and selection of services, and you can give ads in the newspaper and bulletin boards. So this is the selection strategies. You can use a list. You can select the location. You can nomination. You can select them in through nominations. You can use the snowball samples. Then random telephone screening. Then screening and selection services. Then you can give ads in a newspaper and bulletin boards. This is selection strategies. Then incentives for participation. So while participating in a focus group, they may expect something from the researcher. Sometimes they expect they will expect money from the researcher, food, sometimes gifts, then sometimes positive invitation, then sometimes they feel that opportunity to share opinions, then build an extensive community and social and personal relationship. While participating in the focus group, they will think that somebody will have expect expect money from the researcher. Some individuals expect food, gifts, then sometimes positive notes. Then some may feel that it is a opportunity to share his or her opinion in a focus group. Then somebody have involvement in an important research project. Yes, it is very important for me to participate in that particular. Then build an existing community and social and personal relation. So snowball sampling is also known as chain referral sampling or network sampling. So networks. So in a intensive participation, you can use networks based on their location, based on their experience, based on their nominations. Okay, that is snowball samples. Then transcribing focus group interviews. Then use quality playback equipment. So while recording their opinion in a focus group, you have to use good tape recorder or good smartphone. Then minimize distractions. So there won't be any disturbances in the surroundings. Then identify moderator statements. Then type comments word for word. Then note special or unusual sounds that could help analysis. Then allow sufficient time. So in a first thing, use quality playback equipment. So while recording their opinions, you have to use quality tape recorder, quality smartphone. Then only it will serve the purpose. Then minimize distractions. So type transcripts in a place with minimal distractions or interpretations. You have to type the transcript in a minimal distraction. There won't be any distractions. Then identify moderator statements. So use bold points for the moderator's statement and questions. So you have to type the name, speaker followed by his comment, single space, the comment, and double space between speakers. So write the name and write the comments. Then single space between the participant and double space, single space between their opinion, double space with the participant to other participants. So likewise, you have to record their opinion. Then type comments word for word. So in real life, people do not talk in complete sentence, and when typing the transcripts, avoid the temptation to avoid the change the words. So sometimes they may not talk completely. So you have to fill in the gap. You have to write complete sentence. Then note special or unusual sounds that could help analysis. So you have to if there is a laugher, loud voices, shouting, etc., be sure that these are noted in the transcript in parenthesis. Make note of someone was interrupted. Okay, sometimes while talking they will laugh louder, they will disturb. So you have to give the pause. Somebody interrupted your discussion. You have to make note of that if somebody interrupt the discussion. The next one is allow sufficient time. So for focus group discussion, you have to allow sufficient time, specific time. So typically it takes about 8 hours to type 1 hour of tape. Okay. So a tape recorder, they can record their opinion for 1 hour, but while typing, it takes you 7 to 8 hours. So the time will vary with the typist speed. So typist is very speed, then you can type very speed manner. So the quality of the tape recording, the length of session, the experience of the typist with the focus groups, and the complexity of the topic. So topic is very complex, then it will take more time. Topic is very similar, simple topic, it will take less time. Then based on the typist experience, typist well experienced, he will type very fast. Otherwise, typist don't have any experience, then he will type very slow. It will take a longer time. Then reporting focus group results. So after that, how to report the focus group results? Use a communication strategy. Then use an appropriate reporting style that the clients find helpful and meets expectations. Then strive for enlightenment. Make points memorable. Use narrative or bulleted format. Give thoughts to the oral report. These are the different reporting focus group results. First one is use a communication strategy. Nowadays, everybody from school to college, universities, we have different WhatsApp groups, Instagram groups, so on and so forth. So you have to use communication strategy in a different manner. So think of what type of communication strategy is needed. A variety of reports might be used to keep people informed. For example, mail message, postcards, phone calls, bulleted summaries, selected quotes, then moderator comments, then mid-project, final project reports, personal visits by members of the research team, etc. These are the different communication strategies in a focus group. Reporting for focus group results. The next one is use an appropriate reporting style that the client finds helpful and meets expectations. So ask users what kind of report would be helpful to them. What information are they looking for? What are the expectations and traditions of reports within the organization? You have to ask the questions. Based on that, you have to prepare, you have to make their expectations. Then strive for enlightenment. So reports should raise the level of understanding of the client. So they must reach the level of their understanding of the clients, not below, not above to their understanding level. The purpose is more to the enlighten and convey new insights as opposed to repeating a common knowledge which is already known by the sponsor of the study. Okay, so this report must be at the understanding level of the client. Then you have to meet the certain criteria for the sponsor of the study. Some research will be done by the sponsorship. UNESCO, ICSR, other projects will be there. So you have to meet the expectations of the clients, then as well as your sponsoring body, sponsoring agency. Then make points memorable. So help the client remember that the key points by limited the number of points you highlight. So too many points it diminishes overall impact. Begin with most important points and follow with the lesser important points. So you have to write the first after research. We'll have major findings in our research. Major findings first, then minor findings. Likewise, you have to use important point first, then after less important points. That is, make points memorable. Then use narrative or bulleted format. So written reports can follow either narrative format or bulleted format. Don't surprise them. Don't surprise the client with the format different from the what was expected. So you have to use either narrative format or bullet format. Bullets 1, 2, 3, 4 like bullet. You have to use bullet points. Then give thought to the oral report. So oral report should be brief, clear, and concise. In addition, oral report should allow opportunity for questions, indicate why the study is important and why the findings are meaningful. Begin with the most important findings and engage the listener in an active manner. So you have to use uh, start with the most important findings to less important findings. They are the reporting focus to results. So I think I shared my ignorance with you regarding this focus groups. Now over to Datta sir, Debulal sir. Any questions?
Sir, I have a question. How to measure internal consistency in focus group? Now, how to measure?
So in a focus group, internal consistency depending on the individuals. No, we have individual differences. Okay, some might be
Yes, sir.
having experience, more experience. Some people may have less experience. So this more experienced people will use dominant in the focus groups. They will having high internal consistency when compared to less experienced person. Yes, am I clear?
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Sir, in that case, I have to selected the persons who are more experiences to increase the consistency.
All people may not be similar experience. No, again they are having their individual differences. Okay, so for example, person a teacher is teaching same subject 5 years. Okay. Sometimes psychology or philosophy or so on and so forth, or mathematics or science. Okay, so all persons those who are having 5 years experience may not teach the same things. They not transact same thing in the same classroom. No, why? Again they are having their individual differences. Somebody will questions very well, somebody will introduce the lesson very well. Okay, somebody will conclude very well, somebody will give home assignments. Yes, so in the experienced persons also there might be chance of having their individual differences, their thinking, their creativity, their understanding level, their comprehension, their knowledge. There might be some differences among us. Yes. Any questions?
Dear students, any more question?
Students, in case you are unable to unmute and talk, you can also send your questions in the chat box. We'll read it out to sir.
Sir, I have a question. The note
Yes.
taker and note maker is a different person, and
Yes.
how they transcribe, is it matter?
Can you repeat the question, please?
The note taker and note
Hmm.
maker,
Hmm.
the different, they are the same person or different person. The researchers
So,
not take the note taker is note maker,
okay.
and
Is the
how
assistant?
they transcribe.
Hmm.
Transcription, uh, is transcription matter?
Okay. So here in focus group discussion, there will be note taker only, not note maker. So for the understanding purpose, I use note making. Okay. So basically, note making is from the textbook. You can read something, some article. You can take the notes from the textbook. That is note making. So here in our focus group, there will be only note taking. So while they are answering, so here in our focus group discussion, focus groups, there will be main moderator, assistant moderator will be there. So main moderator will initiate the discussion. This assistant moderator will make the they will record the responses of the participants. He will take the notes. Okay. So sometimes uh, that typist who is experienced person, he will make fast typing sometimes because of inexperience. It matters sometimes.
Sir, is there
Am I
any
clear?
necessary for video recording or audio recording of the focus
Ye-
group discussion?
Yes, 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 yes. You cannot record all the things. No, you cannot record their voice intensity. Okay, with your note taking. So better you use the tape recorder or smartphone for the voice recorder. Intensity, their what we call their inner feelings, you may record. Same thing you can transcript. Okay, you can send the experts for the audio for the further investigation, further clarity. It is necessary in the focus group.
Sir, there's one question in chat box by Subrata. She's asking whether similar experienced group members have to be selected for a focus group discussion.
Yes, yes. Subrata, yes, you can select. That is a beginning told that homogeneous group, no, similar experience. You can't take chemistry person in a psychology lab. Yes,
Students, are there any more questions?
Yeah, I think there is no question. So Shara, please give the vote of thanks.
Yes, sir. Professor Madhukar, it has been so insightful listening to you for the entire 1.5 hours. You explained all the concepts, not just the characteristics and importance of the focus group discussion, but also important facts such as the key process, group formation, and some very applicable and action-oriented tips to conduct successful focus groups. And I'm sure our students will benefit a lot by conducting some in coming future. Thank you so much for such an insightful and knowledgeable session for the students of the qualitative research method groups. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we will meet you again on 22nd, right?
Okay, sir.
For narrative analysis. Thank you, sir.
Thank
You
you.
have covered very important issue very nicely, and you have created a lot of the curiosities among our students. So they have asked you few questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.